Get out of the room! Get out of the room! I'm gonna hit you! I'm gonna hit you!
You're yelling.
I'm angry!
This is not like a psychiatric unit at a general hospital where you would take your mother.
Punch me!
Can we leave?
The Brockville Mental Health Center is strictly a forensic psychiatry unit, which means every client here has some sort of criminal charge.
All our patients at some point displayed violence.
My interest in the criminal justice system actually began when I was a young actor, acting in a National Film Board training film for prison guards called Prison Community. About half the films I've made have dealt with the criminal justice system, and the other half of my films deal with health issues. And both subjects kind of came together on this film.
Okay, she's yelling. Just come with me to get...
People who are sufferers from mental illness, who commit serious acts of violence, who are in what are called forensic psychiatric hospitals. Forensic means having to do with the law, as opposed to non-forensic. If you're in a forensic psychiatric hospital, you're there on some sort of criminal charge.
I remember when she came here in 2005, she was like a wild animal.
Most of these people suffer from paranoid schizophrenia. Most of the patients who commit serious acts of violence, most of the patients in these forensic psychiatric hospitals. And unlike what most people in the public fear, they are not at all a great threat to public safety. Sad to say, most of their violence is against their own family members.
She was the most challenging patient by far.
I think that's what we tried to show, that the patients in both of my films, and there's 2 or 3 of them, committed very serious acts of violence. They're often highly intelligent people, often very gentle people, who got really ill, did these terrible things, and they quite literally come to their senses, and very often are so overcome with remorse when they realize, especially if they've killed a loved one, which is what usually happens. The remorse can be overpowering, and that in fact is what Out of Mind, Out of Sight is about just such a person.
He has never ever forgiven himself.
And that is one of the things that marks them off often from people in the criminal justice system who frequently don't feel much remorse for what they did. And often, sad to say, they hear, they're delusional, or perhaps they hear voices telling them to do this.
He thought Mom had awoken him so she could read his mind a few hours before he went to school.
Often, they think they did the right thing. The voices are saying, if you don't kill so-and-so and, commit some terrible act upon them, the world will come to an end, or whatever. So very often, after the deed is done, they don't flee. They stand there. They often call 911 themselves because they think what they did was right. It's quite a condition.